Hi there, today I'm going to be talking about my CBR500R 2016, the modifications I've done on this bike, and I've done about 7 or 8. The purpose of this video is to tell you about which ones I've done and why I've done them and what the benefits are. So just to start off with, just to give you a list of the modifications I've done, I've put Helibars on the handlebars to raise them up. I put a Coffman exhaust, a tyre hugger, radiator guard, frame sliders and levers, as well as a larger front sprocket and some red tape around the rims. So look, I'll start off with the first modification, well, the last one that I did, which was the Helibars. Now the Helibars was probably the most expensive modification I've done on this bike, but I'd have to say probably for the comfort side of it has been one of the most beneficial modifications. Now this bike here, the reason I bought this particular style of bike, I could have bought a CB500, but I bought the CBR because it's got excellent wind protection. However, being a sports bike, you tend to be leant over a little bit, which means it's a bit hard on your back on those longer rides. So the Helibars, what they've done is they've raised it up 1.5 inches and they've moved the handlebars back by 2.5 inches, and that makes a huge difference in your seating position. You're sitting a lot more upright, more like the CB500s, and it means that you're also looking further ahead on the road, which makes it easier to look out for any dangers. They were very fiddly to install. I thought it'd be very easy, but it was quite fiddly to get it exactly right. We had a few issues with the left hand bar hitting the tank and on full lock, and the right hand hitting the visor. Adjusted it up, still a little bit of touching on the visor, but all in all, really pleased, and it's a very worthwhile modification. Now another modification I've done is with the exhaust. The original exhaust is a very big, bulky and quiet exhaust. And there was 2 reasons I've changed. One, the new exhaust looks way better. It's way lighter. And the other thing I think about with riding a motorbike is you want to be seen, but you need to be heard as well, and these just help the bike to be a bit more noise, so people will hear you. They're not excessively noisy. You hear a decent amount of noise when you're revving it up, and when you're throttling back you'll get a decent amount of noise coming out there, but going along at 100k an hour you won't hear it with your helmet on at all. I absolutely love that pipe, and I would do this modification again if I bought another one of these bikes. They're absolutely fabulous, real easy to put on, just 2 bolts to take off and only 1 to put back on a pot rivet. Pretty much anyone can do that. Another modification in this area of the bike was a tyre hugger. I got this one off a CBR500R and it fits straight on. The only thing I had to do was put a little bracket here which I made up, and I just put a cable tie here, and it keeps the bike a whole lot cleaner from mud being thrown up. And I live on rural roads, so we end up getting a bit of mud on our roads, and it looks fabulous and serves its purpose really well. I put some reflective tape around the rims, and that's more just for cosmetics. I reckon it looks great. The only thing you do have to be careful of is when you're steam cleaning your bike, to get a bit of muck off, that you don't blast it off with your water blaster, which can happen. Now going forward a little bit on the bike, I've put some frame sliders on. These ones are cheap ones from eBay. I know you can get some R and G ones which weren't actually much more dearer, which I probably would have put on if I'd known about them. These are simple, just 3 bolts and a little spacer. Well worth it. They don't cost much, and if your bike falls over just gets bumped and knocked over, you're not going to smash or scratch up all your lovely fairing and that on these bikes. So definitely, if you're going to do a modification and you haven't got much to spend on your bike, definitely put on some frame sliders. Obviously I don't want to ever see them used at high speed, but that's what they're there for too. I've put on some levers which are adjustable, which I really like. They look way better than the factory ones which came out on the bikes, which weren't adjustable. They function a lot better. They're probably one of the, while it's a great accessory to have on, they weren't expensive, but if you're tight on money, maybe you want to leave that one further down your list, not one of your first ones to do. Also, I've put a radiator guard, which I think long term you really want to do anyway on all bikes, because you don't want to get stones punching holes in your radiator, because it's really expensive and it's only a one-off thing, and it wasn't that expensive, and again really simple to install. On the other side, which obviously you're not gonna see it, but it's the front sprocket. Now I think originally it was a 15 tooth sprocket on there, and I've put a 16, and it means that you're running slightly lower revs at 100 k's. I think it's either 150 or 200 revs less at 100 k's. Now I have heard people say that you'd need to adjust up your speedo, which from what I've found that you don't. I've done 2 or 3 tests on it and it's running exactly right with the 16 tooth sprocket on there. There was no adjustment needed. So that's the other modifications I've done on my bike. They've all been pretty simple to do, except for the Helibars. If you want your bike to look a bit better and sound better, definitely a Coffman exhaust is the way to go. And if you want a more of a relaxed style bike, easier on your back and more upright position, the Helibars definitely are a wonderful accessory to put on. And your frame sliders too, definitely that'd be one of the first things I'd start with, just to protect your bike. So that's the modifications. Now if you've got any questions or any comments, please put them in after the video. And if you want me to do a video on installation on any of these items, I'd be happy to upload something there for you too.